obviously has helped the environment, as we talked about, for some of the miners. You've seen an increase in your price. Obviously, the key thing you've been focused on getting the financing in place so that you can continue the drilling. I know there's a few things you've been working on behind the scenes, and anything that you can share to let people know where that all stands.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be careful what I say exactly, but even before share price increases, we've been, we were working on looking at the potential of doing a joint venture on the project, and we're certainly still interested in that approach. And we've had, different groups from around the world approach us on looking at that, and they've been diving into our database and looking at things. We've also been approached at now, even in the last couple of weeks, there's been some attractive offers on a different way of going about things with the possibility of mergers. And then obviously if the share price increases, another option for us to look at would be financing it ourselves and continuing to explore and do it. So it's nice to have the options. We'll see what makes the most sense for our shareholders moving forward. But the main thing is we don't want to continue to sit. We want to advance this asset. And this asset is at a point where we should be ramping up and have been adding drill rigs to the project and increasing the drill programs that we've done historically. But given the state of the market and the capital markets, we've had to take a step back. That's been very frustrating for us as a company and as a management team. So it's nice to see that things are changing. We've definitely got lots of interest in the project right now, and I'm excited for ultimately what ends up happening with our, for our shareholders and for us as a company. And we're aligned with our shareholders, so there's no one out there that wants more success on this project than I do in company, because obviously we've aligned ourselves with our shareholders to, as large shareholders ourselves. And so I'm excited. It's been a very difficult time frame the last few years, but there are a number of different things that we are working on. I'm excited to see, which one we believe ends up being the best for all of us as shareholders and as a company. But it's nice to have options and to, I've got our geologist working on even a larger drill program right now of what it would outline. Been having them outline a 20,000-meter program that we think would hit multiple targets and different things. And because I think it's important, one, for these other groups that are looking at us to see, from our perspective, where money should be spent. And I believe when we're done all of this, that's the type of program we're going to see run here on La Virginia, within the next 12 months, hopefully a lot sooner. And that will allow us to test, our main target El Ruby at depth, and grow the resource there, hopefully prove up our deeper target model that we have, that there's going to be very high grades down into deeper contact below El Ruby. But it'll also let us touch, two or three of our exploration targets. It's going to allow us to go back into the historic area where mine finders and Pan American were worked, and to start to bring in ounces that were isolated outside of our resource. That's going to allow us to update our maiden resource that we last came out with in 2021, and start to include, the 300 meters we've already expanded El Ruby along strike. It's going to allow us to use a higher gold and silver price, which may bring our grade down a little bit, but the ounces that you would add that now are going to be economic, from when we did our last resource using 14 or 1500 gold to now using, are we going to use 25, 2600 gold? I don't know. We'll see. But that's going to bring in a lot of isolated ounces, allow us to expand the pits that were put into or the pit shells that were put in various parts of the project. You're going to see a much larger resource when we do that, and I would do it on the back end of that next drill program. So lots of exciting things to come. We'll need to be a little bit patient as we work through what the perfect way forward is for us as a company here in the short term, but I'm excited about what the next 12 months hold for the company and for our shareholders.
And Steve, I thought it was encouraging. You also mentioned before we hit the record button that even in the past couple of days, you've been hearing back from some of the investors that had been interested during the life placement a couple of months ago. And with the increase in the price, you're hearing back from some of these people now who still have interest in what you're doing.
Yeah, people have definitely been following. Like, it's just, one, people haven't had capital, and two, people definitely, I mean, and us included, we want to see work being done and the guarantee of that. And it's just been too much of having to, survive in this bad markets, that people have been cautious with their capital. But this has always been a project that's been at the top of most people's lists of being one of the more exciting gold, or silver especially projects, with even having 40% exposure to silver on the project. and then 60% gold. And there's, this is a project that, I mean, I've had major miners on the project and they love the project. They love where we're at. They'd like to see more ounces get added, but they see the potential for those ounces, and they certainly continue to meet with us and monitor what's, going on in the project. So it's on a lot of people's radar. It's just a question now of, as we get into a healthier market here and are able to finance exploration one way or another, depending which route we go, it's going to benefit shareholders. And that, I think, is the big key, is that people need to see that there is a work program coming here, and you're going to see that, very shortly with whichever avenue we decide to explore on moving forward with which partner or doing it ourselves.
Well, that really is great news to hear. I know you've been working hard at that for a while, and I won't speak for you on the timeline. I know there's some degree to which you can't comment, and certain things aren't set in stone yet. But I will mention, if people want to get in touch with you and get updates, whether today or at any point in the future, and get any questions answered, that they can go to silverviperminerals.com and hit the contact tab there. And Steve, in either case, it's great to see things coming forward. We'll do one last final check on the silver price. Oh, we're down back to 10. Oh, and then we're back up. I saw 35.03
There you
there.
go. There you
So
go. Good day, Chris. It was a
hopefully
good
by
day.
the time people are watching this, we're not back down at 34.50. But I would say, if there's ever been a good reminder of taking a step back from the day to day, here we are. Beginning of the year, we were down at $22, somewhere around there in January. And here we are at 35. So quite a rally, regardless of what happens over the next day or week, but a lot of good things happening. And Steve, I appreciate you as always making some time to join us. A lot of good stuff you shared there today, especially about Mexico and stocks and everything else, and certainly the good news for Viper. And we will look forward to catching up with you again next month.
I appreciate it, Chris. It's always a pleasure.